Om Vakratunda Mahakaya Suryakoti Samaprabha Nirvignam Guru Medeva Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada Om Sri Mahaganapataye Namaha Om Sri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Asmadgurubhyo Namaha Srutismriti-Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavatpadam Shankaram Lokashankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Kritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Guru Ratmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavad Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Om Shri Medha Dakshinamurti Swamine Namaha Om Sahana Vavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma Vidvishavahai Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om Om Bhadram Karne Vishrunuyama Devaha Bhadram Pashyemakshabhiryajatraha Sthirairangaye Stuštuvagum Sastanubihi Vyashema Devahitam Yadhayuhu Swasti na Indro Vriddhashravaha Swasti na Pusha Vishwavedaha Swasti nastarkshyo Arishtanemihi Swasti no Brihaspati'r Dhadatu Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So Namaste once again everyone. So usual request, please mark your attendance. Take a few seconds.
Namaste Guruji.
Yeah. So as I was mentioned, as we have seen during the inaugural talk, in our Hindu tradition, any system which provides a comprehensive and structured teaching in the field of spirituality is called a darshana. And as I said, in our Hindu tradition, there are several darshanas. Actually, as a convention, all the darshanams, loosely darshanam, you can translate it as philosophy. Okay. So all the darshanams to be accepted as a philosophy have to declare their stand on three important topics. And not only they have to declare their stand, they have to justify it also. So what are they? Number one is pramana. What are the sources of knowledge or means of knowledge on which their darshanam is based? For example, if you look at the scheme of our scriptures, at the top is the Vedas. Vedas means the whole body of Vedas, Karma Kanda and Jnana Kanda, you can take the whole as one body, Vedas. Then the next thing that we come again is Smriti Granthas. Vedas are Shruti. And next one is Smriti Grantha. There are so many Smritis are there. And another difference we must notice, Vedas are Apaurusheya, means it is not a human creation. Vedas are given to the humankind by Bhagavan himself. So we'll talk about that more later. So second rung is Smriti Granthas, which are human creation. Like for example, Bhagavad Gita is a Smriti Grantha. Smriti means somebody, in this case of Gita, Vyasacharya, based upon his knowledge of Veda, Upanishads, etc., he has written Bhagavad Gita. So Smriti means from this memory he has written. Then comes Puranas. Puranas, we have got so many Puranas, 18 Puranas Vyasacharya himself has written. So that is the third rung of the literature. Of course, one thing we must remember, whether it is Smriti or Purana, all are based on Veda only, Vedic teaching only. And then, of course, at the lowest rung is Itihasa. Itihasas are there. Itihasa, Purana are actually normally combined together. So these are the broad way of classification of the scriptures. So these are the sources of our knowledge. And in this hierarchy, Vedas, the knowledge, the source of Vedas as source of knowledge ranks the highest, most reliable source, because it is untouched by human hand. Because Bhagavan, God is infallible, so there can be no mistake or nothing wrong in what he has said through the Vedas. Then the next rank is Smriti Granthas. They are also valid, but not as valid as Vedas. Then, of course, Puranas are there, and as I said, Itihasa is there. And therefore, any darshanam, they have to actually not only declare that their philosophy is based on what source, whether it is Shruti or Smriti or Purana or Itihasa, they have to declare their source and also justify why they are doing it. So, Pramanam means the sources of knowledge or means of knowledge on which the darshanam is based. And the articulation of this topic is known as Pramana Vichara. And the second topic that we saw was Prameya Vichara. What is the subject matter of these darshanams? What are the things, the subject or contents of this darshan? So first sources of knowledge, then contents of knowledge. You see the difference? So the disclosure and discussion on the subject matter or content of darshanam is called Prameya Vichara. I mean, what does this darshanam deal with? So this is the second major topic of all darshanam. They will have to declare their stand on. And third major topic is Prayojana Vichara. Here, the purpose of the darshanam is presented. So by taking to their darshanam, what will I get? What is the benefit that they visualize for the follower of the darshanam? So these are the three broad themes: Pramana Vichara, Prameya Vichara, and Prayojana Vichara. Source of knowledge, content of knowledge, and benefit of knowledge. And we will discuss these three topics in the context of Vedanta Darshanam. This can be discussed in the context of every darshanam. But we are Vedanta students, so we will discuss it in the context of Vedanta Darshan. So what is the first topic? Pramana Vichara. What are the sources of knowledge? Different darshanams enumerate different number of sources. There are darshanams having only one source of knowledge. Then there are darshanams having 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, up to 8 also they go. In Vedanta Darshanam, we enumerate 6 sources of knowledge called Shad Pramanani. And what are they? Pratyaksha, Anumanam, Upamanam, Arthapatti, Anupalabdhi, and Shabda Pramanani. These are the 6 ones. And I'm not going to deal with them elaborately, but we will note certain important features. Especially Pratyaksha, Anumanam, and Shabda Pramanam are very, very important from our Vedanta study point of view, from Vedanta philosophy point of view. And the good thing is all darshanams uniformly include one source of knowledge, and that is Pratyaksha Pramanam. What is Pratyaksha Pramanam? the knowledge that we gain with the help of our sense organs. So our sense organs are the primary sources of knowledge. We have got eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and skin. Jnanendriyani, care of Tattva Bodha, if you remember. So through all these 5 Jnanendriyani, we gather knowledge. And all the sense organs put together are called Pratyaksha Pramanam. So that is one primary and important source of knowledge. The second important and powerful source of knowledge, which most of the darshanams accommodate and agree with, is Anumanam. Anumanam is logical reasoning. So logical reasoning, which is otherwise called Anumanam, is also a very powerful source. We can say it is inferred knowledge. And this Anumanam is considered a secondary source of knowledge, but based upon the data collected from Pratyaksha Pramana. So you can never make an inference without collecting data, isn't it? Even, whenever there is an investigation on a crime, there is an investigation team who want to find out the criminal based on lot of analysis. But before analyzing, what do? They go to the site of the crime, collect valuable data before investigation. Investigation is all inferences which it is Anumanam, which they draw from the material or data collected. But investigation cannot proceed without studying the site of crime, collecting the data, etc. For that, they have to use Pratyaksha Pramana. They have to use they have to use their eyes. Of course, other, nose also sometimes, because the scene of crime may have some specific smell. With that, they will be probably, for example, this is like a film story, They reach the site and they find that there is a very particular smell is there, which is the smell of a particular brand of cigarettes. Let us assume, I'm just running my I'm letting my imagination run wild. So if there is a particular smell and they find in the scene of crime, that means a person who is smoking that particular cigarette has visited that scene of crime. That's the inference they can draw from the smell. So like that, Anumanam, inference cannot proceed without the Pratyaksha data brought in by the Pratyaksha Pramana. So therefore, use Pratyaksha, collect valuable Pramanam, and then based on the various evidence gathered, there are arguments in the court. There is prosecution team also, and there is a team which is supporting the defendant party. And most of the arguments are Anumanam based. The evidence is presented to the court, but based on that evidence, the lawyer will argue that this is the inference we can make from this evidence. So the evidence is always inferred on the basis of the evidence collected to Pratyaksha. Therefore, based on Anumanam also, we can get a lot of knowledge. It is one of the very good sources of knowledge. In fact, almost 99% of the scientific developments are based on Anumanam only. They observe a certain phenomenon and they make an inference, and then they go and experiment whether their inference is right or not. Of course, different types of Anumanams are all talked about. But for our purpose, generally understand what is Anumanam. So Pratyaksha Pramanam is one. Anumanam or Tarka or inference is another Pramanam. logical reasoning. We'll use the word logical reasoning. But Vedanta Darshanam has an important view in this regard. Even though Pratyaksha Pramanam and Anumana Pramanam are important and very valuable, Vedanta says both of them suffer from serious limitations. No doubt, both Pratyaksha and Anumanam are very great and important. All scientific discoveries are based on them, as I said. And we have progressed a lot. But still, both of them have got serious limitations. Our sense organs themselves are not designed to experience everything. They can only experience a very, very gross part of the universe. Even when I am looking at you, I can only experience your grossest part, which is called your physical body. I can't see your intelligence. I cannot see what is going on in your mind. Isn't it? Suppose you are having some pain and you tell me I am having back pain. I can't see the back pain. I will have to rely on what you are telling me. I will have to assume that you are intelligence. Everybody has to assume that everybody else is intelligence. But that intelligence we cannot see. Emotions we cannot see. In fact, 99% of you is not sensorily available. I can only see, I can only gather knowledge of what your physical gross body is, Stula Sharira is. Because other things relating to you are not sensorily available. And that's why many relationships get into trouble. We get into relationship based upon some gross pramanam, dating and all, things, dating business. They will gather the knowledge of the would-be spouse based on limited experience, and they will conclude we are compatible after 6 years of dating and they get married. Then they discover that the compatibility lasts for just 1 year. Dating for 6 years, marriage lasts for 1 year. Why? Because our sensory experiences have got limitation. And based on that limited data, we have made inferences. And those inferences were not, they are limited by the data which we have collected. Another example, we find that even in courts, two judges, they can come to opposite conclusions based on the same evidence. Isn't it? Evidence is presented to all the judges is same, but they can have opposite views. So Pratyaksha Pramanam being the same, there can be difference in Anumana Pramanam, difference in the inference. Therefore, we have to appreciate that all the Pratyaksha Pramanam and Pratyaksha based Anumana Pramanam have got serious limitations. And therefore, no darshanam can give a comprehensive picture of the universe. No darshanam can give a comprehensive picture of the individual, and no darshanam can give a comprehensive picture of the truth behind the world and also the individual. So no darshanam can arrive at the truth purely with the help of pratyaksha and anumana pramana. This is the conclusion of Vedanta darshan. So even though these two pramanams are important, they are never complete in themselves. Important but incomplete. So with incomplete pramanam, the darshanam cannot be a holistic darshanam. And therefore, Vedanta darshanam includes another very, very significant pramanam, and that pramanam is called Shabda pramanam. Shastra Pramanam or Veda Pramanam, which is a very important source of knowledge for Vedanta Darshan. And that is why, Puja Swamiji used to insist that Vedas should never ever be looked upon as a secular source of knowledge. It has got its own validity, which should be accepted independent of anything else. You cannot call Veda illogical, or you cannot challenge what is said in the Vedas with your reasoning. I'll come to that. All that we will briefly discuss. So Vedanta Darshanam is very particular that every student of Vedanta Darshanam must have a clear idea regarding the status of Veda. So not only we should include Veda in the Pramanam list, but we should also know the status of Veda. Otherwise, we will not get the full benefit of this Darshana. Now, what is meant by status when I say? We have to understand three important aspects or facets of Veda. As I just now said a few minutes ago, the first status is that it is not created by any human intellect. Therefore, it has got non-human origin called Apaurisheya Pramana. It has been traditionally flowing down. Even the rishis in the Vedas clearly declare that they have not discovered the truth of the universe, and then they are then documenting the discovery. They say they have discovered the truth with the help of Veda, with the help of Veda Pramana. And therefore, unlike in all other sciences, Veda is not after discovery, but Veda is before discovery. This is, we must, very, very important aspect that we have to understand. Unlike Newton's law and some other scientific laws, Newton's law is what? First observation, discovery, and then writing. In the case of Veda, it is not first discovery and then writing, but first Veda and then alone discovery. Thus, every Rishi says, I got this knowledge based on Vedic teaching given by my Guru. In fact, if you look at Ishavasya Upanishad, it says, Iti Sushruma Dhiranam ye Nastadvichachakshire. And if you ask, what is the origin of these Vedas? Shweta Ashvatara Upanishad answers, Yo Brahmanam Vidatati Purvam, Yo Vai Vedamscha Prahinoti Tasmai, Tagumha Devam Atma Buddhi Prakasham, Mumukshur Vai Sharanamaham Prabhadye. It is said that in the creation, first Brahma Ji was created. And the creator sent forth to Brahma Ji the Vedas. And who is that creator? Tam Devam Atma Buddhi Prakasham. He is the self-effulgent Lord who is self-revealing, in whom I take refuge as a mumukshu. So, Upanishad, after you will find it in many Upanishads, such statements. So, what is the origin? Origin is from the self-effulgent Lord, from Brahman. And then we trace the tradition, the Guru Parampara. Narayanam Padma Bhuvam Vasishtam Shaktim Cha Tatputra Parasharam Cha, all that, no? Most of you will know this sloka. So it is starting from Narayanam, or even in our own prayers before the class, what we say? Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Therefore, this knowledge is starting from the Lord Himself, and therefore the first status that we have to register is that it has a divine origin, which is technically called Apaurisheya Pramanam, Daivika Pramanam, divine source of knowledge. Very, very important for us to remember always. Then the second important aspect or status of Veda is because of it being Apaurisheya Pramanam, divine Pramanam, it is a valid source of knowledge. It is a reliable source of knowledge. Now, even when they do this scientific field, they quote certain people to show that this discovery is reliable. We say because of its divine origin, Veda is also valid source of knowledge. We consider the Lord or Bhagavan to be infallible. Well, Bhagavan does not have any personal axe to grind, and he has given out the Veda for the benefit of mankind, for the welfare of mankind. It is called Pramanam, being divine. It is Daivikam, it is reliable. It does not suffer from errors which, or we can say human errors, which any creation or anything done by human beings has a potential to suffer from errors, mistakes, misunderstandings. But Veda is not like that. So this is the second aspect we have to remember. I'm just being very brief. In fact, in each of this we can go talk hours after hours. But that's not very important for us. For us, the background is important. Third and the most important status is that the Vedas are an independent source of knowledge. Swatantra Pramanam, an independent source of knowledge. Now, what do you mean by independent source of knowledge? In fact, this is the most important aspect we have to register very well. Because many people ask, if you say that Vedas say this, what is the proof that what is Veda is saying is correct or not? This is the question asked. Many people, they just for the sake of argument, they will say so many things. Vidandavadam, that is called. So anyhow, what do you mean by independent source of knowledge? To understand what is an independent source of knowledge, actually we give the example of a sense organ. An independent source of knowledge is like our sense organs. Take the example of the eye. When the eye gives me knowledge about a shape or a color, the eye is an independent source of knowledge. Because whatever the knowledge the eye gives, the eyes alone can give that knowledge. No other sensory organ, no other pramanam can give me that particular knowledge. So when a pramanam gives a unique knowledge, which other pramanams cannot give, it is called independent source. What knowledge the eyes can give, ears cannot give, nose cannot give. So since other pramanams cannot give whatever an independent means of knowledge gives, that is accepted as self-valid. It is a self-valid pramanam, which need not be proved. In fact, it cannot be proved by any other pramanam. So it is not only need not be proved, More importantly, it cannot be proved. Why it cannot be proved? Because other pramanams don't have access to the field of shape and color. Here pramanam has got access to sound, but it does not have access to shape and color. So suppose your eyes tell you that there is a beautiful flower of this shape and color. And you tell the eyes, I don't believe you. I will check with ears whether what you are saying is correct or not. Can ear provide you with that information? It cannot. It cannot. Ears have no eyes. Ears have got only hearing capacity. Similarly, you are hearing a music, a sound, which looks like some Western music. So the knowledge you are getting is, oh, it's a Western music playing. You say, no, I don't believe it. I will ask my nose to find out whether it is Western music or classical Indian music. Can you do that? You can't. So far as sound is concerned, ear is the independent source. It is independent pramanam, valid pramanam. You have to trust the ears. You have to trust the eyes. You cannot cross-verify whatever information they give, whatever knowledge they give with any other thing. Maximum you can ask another person, I see my eyes are seeing this. Are you also seeing the same thing? But there also he has to use his eyes only. He cannot tell you, oh, you have used the eyes, so I will use something else and then find out what you want. He can't say, he has to use his eyes only. And therefore, we have to understand that the source of knowledge, independent pramanam, in all these cases is self-valid. Therefore, it need not be and cannot be verified and validated by any other pramanam, any other source of knowledge. Therefore, even with respect to our sense organs, our approach is what? They are self-valid. They cannot, what in knowledge they give cannot be verified and validated by any other pramana. Suppose we don't accept the sense organs as valid pramana. We cannot lead our life itself. Because even when you go for a walk, the walking is based on what? Based on what pramanam? Based on your chakshu pramanam only. Because you are seeing the path is clear, so you are able to walk. Will you say, oh no, the eyes are showing the path is clear, but I'm not very sure about it. Maybe there are some obstacles or impediments which the eyes are not able to see. Can you say that? Will you say that? You will trust the eyes. So even for day-to-day living, this independence and validity of these pramanams we have to accept. And we cannot get these independent pramanams cannot be validated by any other pramanam also. So you have to accept all these pramanams as self-valid and lead your life. And it has been successful, isn't it? We have been doing that since our birth. And therefore, every sense organ is a swatantra pramanam. And what Vedanta says is that Veda also must be approached as a swatantra pramanam, which is self-valid in the spiritual field. Pratyaksha, etc. is swatantra pramanam in material field. Veda is swatantra pramanam in spiritual field. Therefore, it is self-valid. It need not be validated by other pramanams. In fact, it cannot be validated by other pramanams. For example, Veda talks about Brahman as the only reality. Veda talks about Punya and Papa and Karma Phalam, etc. Veda talks about rebirth. Punarapi Jananam, Punarapi Maranam. All these have to be accepted as valid. These statements need not and cannot be validated by any other pramanam like eyes, ears, etc. What is the proof that there is rebirth? If you ask, the proof is Veda Pramana. That is the source of knowledge, because you cannot know rebirth from any other source. Of course, to some extent, we can infer rebirth from certain pratyaksha pramana. I'll come to that later. So Vedantic approach towards pramanam is, no doubt pratyaksha and anumana are self-valid in material field. Veda is self-valid in spiritual field. Therefore, if you want a comprehensive knowledge, you should use all the three. You should use pratyaksha and anumana and also Veda. Scriptures you have to use. Now, when a person approaches Veda as a Swatantra Pramanam, self-valid, that attitude is called Shraddha. When you treat it as Swatantra Pramanam, that understanding and that attitude is called Shraddha. We treat the eyes as self-valid. Therefore, our attitude towards eyes is called what? Shraddha. We have Shraddha in our eyes as Swatantra Pramanam. We don't question what knowledge the eyes give, because of the Shraddha. We have Shraddha in ears as Swatantra Pramanam. We have Shraddha in the nose as Swatantra Pramanam. Eyes are not nosy in the field of nose Pramanam. Each sense organs we have got Shraddha. And by Shraddha, we don't mean blind faith. We mean we treat that as an independently valid Pramanam. Every sense organ is an independently valid Pramanam in its own field. Similarly, Veda is a Pramanam, a valid Pramanam, independently valid Pramanam in its field. And therefore, Vedanta Darshanam includes Veda Pramanam in its Pramana Vichara. And since Vedanta Darshanam is dealing with the field of spirituality, Veda Pramanam plays a very important role. But when you want material knowledge about the world, Vedanta Darshanam will not advise us. We can't find knowledge of material world in the Veda Pramanam. Suppose you want to know the nature of the Mars planet. There is no point in going and looking Veda Pramanam, what is the nature of the Mars planet. For that, what you should do, if you want to know about Mars planet and all, you must go and study what Mangalyaan and all have brought information. That you study, isn't it? So for material sciences, may you use Pratyaksha Anumana as Pradhanam, whereas when you want spiritual knowledge, Veda plays a prominent role as a source of knowledge. If you close Veda, you have become blind spiritually. And therefore, use Veda Pramana. Now, a couple of more points. Even though Veda is a valid and independent source of knowledge, Vedanta Darshanam says Veda alone should not be taken into account. While understanding the contents of the Veda, we must also bring into play Pratyaksha and Anumana, because they play a supportive role for Veda Pramana. It is just like, we listen to concerts, music concerts. Some very famous singer, very beautifully singing, but he needs accompaniments. isn't it? Accompaniments are not primary, but they play a supportive role. So in this case of Veda Pramanam, how do Pratyaksha and Anumanam play a supportive role? So as we saw, first of all, we have to know that Veda alone plays the primary role. And that is what is called, we accept Vedanta as an independent Pramanam, that is called Shraddha. In Bhagavad Gita, in fact, in several places, Bhagavan Krishna underlines this. In the 9th chapter, he says, those people who don't treat Veda as an independent, valid source of knowledge, they will not attain moksha. They will continue successfully in samsara in spite of studying Bhagavad Gita umpteen number of times. And also in the 4th chapter, he says, a person will spiritually perish if he does not understand the role and significance of Veda Pramana. But the Veda Pramanam must be supported by the other two. And in order to understand the support role of Pratyaksha and Anumana, you have to understand a very important principle, and that is one Pramanam will not and does not contradict another Pramanam. They may not validate another Pramanam, but they should not contradict another Pramanam. Must understand this very carefully. We said that one independent Pramanam cannot and need not validate another independent Pramanam. But at the same time, two Pramanams should not contradict each other. Because if two Pramanams contradict, then you will not be able to rely upon any one of them, any one Pramanam. Because each Pramanam is valid in its own field. And therefore, an important principle is, even though they cannot validate, no Pramanam should contradict another Pramanam. Therefore, what the Vedanta Darshanam says is, when you study Veda, you have to make sure that the teaching is extracted from Veda should be in such a manner that it should never contradict Pratyaksha Pramanam called Anubhava and Anumana Pramanam called Yukti. Even though at times the Veda Vakyas may seem to contradict Anubhava and Yukti, we have to extract the message of the Veda in such a manner that it does not contradict Anubhava and Yukti. Veda Vakyas need not necessarily be rational or reasonable or subject to reason, but they should not contradict reason. That's a very important aspect we have to keep in mind. But what if extracted message is found to contradict Anubhava and Yukti? It is a natural question we will ask. Can you then reject Veda as a Pramanam? The Parampara says no. If that happens, you have to pause. Since it is contradicting Yukti and Anubhava, you should not conclude that therefore Veda is not a Pramanam. Why? Because we have already accepted Veda as a self-valid. Therefore, you don't question Veda Pramana. But you can question your way of understanding the message. Therefore, what you do, make appropriate changes and understand and extract the message in such a way that you got the message from the Veda, which is a useful message and which does not contradict the others. And this method of appropriate inquiry is called Mimamsa. Mimamsa means the right method of extracting the message from Veda Pramana. And that is why today, if we are all able to study, the gurus are able to teach, and what is being taught has acceptance by the human intellect. Human intellect, mind you, always is driven by logic and reasoning. If that human intellect has accepted whatever is said in the Veda or Vedanta as valid, that is because of the Mimamsa. In the Guru Parampara, the great Mahatmas have worked. They have actually applied all this and then tried to extract the right meaning, what Vedanta says. And why they are not contradicting to Pratyaksha and Anumana Pramana. So what should be the right approach? You keep Veda as valid and extract the message in such a way that it does not contradict Yukti and Anubhava. And if there is a contradiction, don't reject the Veda. I mean, the example they give, it's like when the eyes give optical illusion when you look at yourself in a concave or a convex mirror, isn't it? If you look at a convex mirror, probably the face will look elongated. In a concave mirror is small, it will become, right? And all these are based upon Pratyaksha Pramana. But that's an optical illusion. And just because eyes give an optical illusion, you cannot say, oh, something is wrong with my eyes. It is not able to correctly give me the information. You don't reject the eye for that. No doubt your eyes see your faces distorted. But are the eyes giving wrong information? And for that reason, can you reject the eye as a pramana? No. What we do is we adjust the placement of the mirror in such a way, or we understand, oh, this is not the right mirror for me to see my face clearly. So you replace it with the right mirror, which gives an undistorted image. And therefore, what is the conclusion we can draw? Is that the eyes are valid source of knowledge only when proper conditions are there, and therefore you don't criticize the eyes, you criticize the condition. And several conditions are required for each pramana to reveal the message or to give the knowledge. So similarly, when there is a contradiction, you don't criticize the Veda. Instead, you criticize the condition under which you study, and therefore you study properly. Proper study is called Mimamsa. And Mimamsa take into account Veda, Yukti and Anubhava. You extract a message from the Veda without contradicting Yukti, logical reasoning. Experiential contradiction should not come. You then take out a spiritual message that is called Vedanta Darshanam. And therefore, Vedanta Darshanam cannot be called rational. Also, it cannot be called irrational also. A rational system is that which is derived from reasoning. But Vedanta is not derived from reasoning, but derived from Vedas, from Bhagavan himself. Therefore, we cannot call it a rational system. So does that mean we can call it an irrational system? Because our human mind always is like that, Either this end, either white or black, that only we see. Oh, you can't call it rational system. That means it is irrational. That is the immediate conclusion we come to. That is also not correct. It is not irrational. Because even though it is not derived by reasoning, the teaching is regulated by reasoning. It is regulated by, the teaching is regulated by reasoning, by making sure that the teaching is not contradictory to reason. And therefore, you can conclude it is neither rational nor irrational. Swami Paramathananda says, If you want to label it, you can call it supra-rational. Good terminology, supra-rational. So this is pramana vichara. What is the next topic? Prameya vichara, inquiry into the content of knowledge. So we have covered the source of knowledge in pramana vichara. Now content of knowledge. But before going into that, let us first discuss the last topic, prayojana vichara, the benefit of knowledge. Because then you can decide whether you should come to the next class or not. Of course, you all may not feel because you are all, I would say, professional Vedanta students. But a new student may have this question, if I come, what will I get? You tell somebody, see, I am attending Vedanta classes, why don't you come and join? That person is sure to ask, more than 50% chance, if I come, what will I get? Because in our life, we want always something, some benefit for whatever we have to do. As I said in the inaugural class, prayojanam anuddishya mandopinavar pravartate. Everybody looking for some benefit. So we will see the prayojana vichara, the benefit of Vedantic study, before going to prameya vichara. So what the Vedanta Darshanam says is that the highest benefit is to solve the fundamental human problem or human struggle. This human struggle is universal and which is very fundamental. And there is a terminology or name given, it is called samsara. It is likened to a difficult to cure disease called bhavaroga. Puja Swamiji calls it a life of becoming. So the fundamental problem is leading a life of becoming, which is the root cause of all our troubles, worries, emotional turmoils, unhappiness, depression, etc. What is this life of becoming? We are never happy with what we are, and we are always struggling to become something different than what we are. This is life of becoming. Isn't it? As a child, we are not happy. We want to grow up, grow mustache and all. Of course, men grow mustache. So many youngsters, high school and all, where this mustache coming and all natural processes. It will not be the same for everybody. Couple of years difference will be there. But in their same class, somebody who will be having some small mustache would have come. This fellow, nothing, no hair growth. So he'll get tense, worry. Is there something wrong with me? So when you are something, you want to become something else. When you are a child, you want to become a man. When you are a man, you want to become a married man. When you are a married man, you want to become a father or mother. When you have become father or mother, you want to become grandfather, grandmother. This becoming, I want to become, I want to become, I want to become, never ends. And that is the root cause for all our problems in our life. We are never ever satisfied with what we have. We keep on chasing the distant dream. Mind you, I'm not dealing with the particular problems of individual, which will differ from person to person. For example, somebody is ill, he wants to become better. That is nothing wrong in that. He wants an unhealthy person wants to become healthy. Family to family also this will differ. One family may have a financial problem. Another family, there may be a problem of unity among the family. Harmony is not there. Another family, chronic sickness may be a problem. We are not discussing all that. Problems can vary from individual to individual. Vedanta does not address the differing individual problems or family problems of the human beings. Vedanta is addressing the fundamental universal problem caused by the sense of limitation. In his text Atma Anatma Viveka, Shankaracharya says, Parichinna iva ajnana tannashe sati kevalaha. He calls this problem as parichedaha or apurnatvam, a sense of limitation based upon our experience. In all areas, we experience limitations, isn't it? Physically, we are limited. I can't be here and somewhere else at the same time. So, limitation physically. Emotionally, we are limited. Intellectually, we are limited. Resource wise, we are limited. Knowledge wise, we are limited. In all areas, what we confront is limitation only. And because of this universal limitation at all levels, one of the problems we commonly experience is helplessness. I want to do certain things, but I am unable to do. I want to know certain things, but I am unable to know. Especially in the medical field, in spite of so many advancements, there are so many situations when the doctors themselves say all the parameters are okay, and therefore you must be all right. But what I feel, I'm still miserable. So this fellow is feeling miserable. The doctor says there is no problem. Thus, they themselves are not able to know what the problem is. And in many other cases, the problem is known, but they don't know how to solve the problem. We confront limitation-based helplessness at all levels. It is initially helplessness at the individual level. When a person gets married, the limitations and helplessness of the spouse also gets transferred. Therefore, I experience two limitations. One is original, another is transferred or borrowed. Once children are born, their limitations also you take over. Child does not study at all. The child may not experience the limitation at that time, but the parents feel miserable. Then you have grandchildren settled elsewhere in some overseas destination, not in India. Therefore, those limitations are experienced by the parents. And after some time, we find that in all areas, I am experiencing helplessness as an individual limited being. And this helplessness leads to what? It leads to start with anger with everyone. We are angry. Every member, every neighbor, government, planet, ultimately God. Helplessness leads to anger. Initially, by anger, I try to get the things done. People who are around me listen to me initially because of my anger. But once I use it few times, they get used to it. Thereafter, even my anger doesn't work. They ignore me. Therefore, anger also does not solve the problem. Only people end up avoiding you. And this leads to frustration. Limitation-based helplessness, helplessness-based anger, and anger-based frustration. And when frustration continues for some time, it leads to depression. More we will see in the next class. Okay. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnamevavasishyate Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Harihi Om. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Guruji.
Thank you very much, Guruji. Namaskaram.
Namaskaram. Namaskaram.
Thank you, Guruji.
Namaskaram, Guruji. Thank you very much.
Hari Om. Thank you.
ధన్యవాదాలు.
Very well, very well.
Hari Om, Guruji.
Hari Om.
Hari Om, Hariji.
Fundamental issue is being defined.
Sorry.
A fundamental issue is being defined very well today.
Yeah. However, it's briefly only. We can go and talk about it, class after class. But then what is relevant is what I have covered. So these are the basic issues. Why we should study Vedanta? It's a question everybody's mind is there. So what is it that I'm going to get out of this, right? So first of all, we have to realize the problem, accept the problem, and then find the solution. That's why Prameya Vichara, I said we will talk about it later. First, let us understand the Prayojana.
Yeah, I think correct. I think so. Very well done. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Guruji, you spoke the two pramanas should not contradict. Can you give an example, please? A theoretical example.
See, whatever example I can give, whatever one pramana says,
Like
pramana,
one pramana.
I'll give you a theoretical example. Let me just think for a minute. Suppose take the case of Veda Pramana. Correct. And in fact, that's a one point which probably good question you asked, so I'll clarify that also. When we say Veda has to be supported by Yukti and Anubhava. Okay. Now, Veda says there is a rebirth.
There is a
Rebirth. Human beings are born again.
yeah, okay, rebirth.
Not only
Yeah,
all
yeah.
jivas are born again and again and again. Correct. Now, if you look at it, what is the source of knowledge that gives us this? Can eyes give the source of knowledge whether rebirth takes place or not? Whether ears can give, whether nose can give, nothing else can give this knowledge, whether what Veda says is correct or not. Correct? This much you understand? So
Yeah.
now, suppose assuming that there is a source of knowledge which says that what Veda is saying is incorrect. Right? What Veda is saying that there is no rebirth. In fact, there are other theologies which don't accept rebirth.
For example, Charvakas.
Charvaka, though nothing is there. Forget Charvaka. I am saying people who have got faith in God, who are otherwise call themselves religious, they don't accept this aspect that there is a rebirth.
Okay.
For them, this is the one birth we have got, and Punya, they accept it. They don't call it Punya Papa, but they say, good deeds, bad deeds, whatever you do, then you will go to heaven, then there will be a judgment day, and then you will be given either sent to Swarga or to Naraka. There, this thing is heaven or hell, correct?
The people who believe in Abrahamic religion.
Abrahamic religions. So they
Okay.
don't. Now, can you say that that is contradictory? That is contradicting the Vedas, and so we must reject the Vedas. In fact, unfortunately, what has happened is because of this Abrahamic teachings, we Sanatana Dharmis have themselves lost their Shraddha in the Vedas, our own scriptures. That is what has come to that because of all this convent education and things like that and all. They are taught all these things in those convents. We have lost faith in that. Anyhow, that's a different matter altogether. But then, that contradiction appears, correct? For that reason, will we reject the Vedas?
We shouldn't.
Because then you bring in Yukti and Anubhava. Then we ask those people, we have nothing to prove that this rebirth is actually a part of the universal order, cosmic order. But we will show you examples of small children, 2 year, 3 year, 5-year-old children who have got a talent, some talent in playing music or mridangam, whatever it is, or reciting the entire Bhagavad Gita, right? At a very, very tender age, what do you attribute to that? What is that phenomenon which makes them do it? They have not learned anything. Even if they have learned, maybe their father must have been a tabla player. So this boy, right from 3 years or 2 years old, he must have heard the father play tabla. But he himself has played, the way he plays tabla, unless he has brought certain talents from the previous birth, that is the inference we can make, Anumanam. So with the help of Anumanam, we can actually say the Veda Pramanam is not contradictory. Your Pramanam doesn't contradict. We are using Anumana Pramanam. Pratyaksha is not there. Anumanam is there. We can infer that if these child prodigies are able to do what they are doing because of their previous vasanas, previous birth experience. So when I tell you that it should not contradict, but when there is no acceptable source, we should use this Pratyaksha and Anumana to support what the Vedanta says. And that is how it becomes an acceptable pramana. Otherwise, we will not have, because Pratyaksha and otherwise, just to say that there is rebirth, who has seen the rebirth? Nobody, right? Nobody remembers also that I was so and so in my last birth. So therefore, we must understand what Vedanta says or Veda says. It should not be, it may not be, or it cannot be actually supported by other pramanas, but other pramanas should not contradict it. So when we go through all these things, when we see the Upanishad and all that, lot more examples will come about all these aspects. And that is where when the Pramana Vichara, Prameya Vichara, we keep in mind, it will help us to raise questions. Because if the Vedanta, if there is some mantra says something, we must be able to critically analyze that mantra, not just accept, just because Acharya is saying it must be right. No. You must be able to apply your mind whether it is correct or not. Fortunately for us, we have got the Shankara Bhashyam and all that, because we don't apply our mind. Shankaracharya himself has applied his mind and given the answers in the Bhashyam. But then this is what we have to be aware of.
See, Guruji, if that is the case, now if you take Advaita, Dvaita or Vishishta Dvaita, if we take, these are also different pramanas, but they are contradicting, is it not?
No. They are not.
Okay, you tell me why it is not contradicting.
That we will discuss that. I have a
Okay.
discussion on, because Visishta Advaitam is nothing but Dvaitam. Right?
Okay.
So when I come to that topic, I will actually deal with that. What is the basis?
Okay.
Each one is valid in their own sphere.
Okay.
Understand? So, in fact, Shankaracharya in the Bhashyam itself, in the Ubodhgata Bhashyam itself, he deals with this. So let us keep suspense for that class. So
Okay.
they are not contradictory, but they are different points of view which can be synchronized logically and understood.
Okay.
We will see that at that time. I don't want to now spill the beans, as they say.
No. Then you can explain it in detail.
Because now if I explain, it will be very, very brief.
I know,
So we
I
have
know, I know.
to deal with that in very great detail.
Okay, okay, fair enough. Okay, Guruji.
Okay.
Thank you. But the question is valid.
Question is very much valid. But
Okay,
there is no contradiction. That is what I want to say.
okay, okay, okay.
Yeah. So we will see.
Hari Om.
Hari Om. Thank you. Any other
Hari
question?
Om, Hari Om Guruji.
Hari Om, tell me.
Work from home not to go.
No, no question.
Oh, no question. Okay. Right, then if there are no more hands going up, then I will close the session, continue on Thursday.
Namaste, Guruji. Thank you very much. Pranam. Namaste. Thank you. Hari Om.
Thank you.
Hari Om, Hari Om.
Thank you, Guruji. Pranam.
Because I'm eating junk food. My brain is
Thank you, Guruji. Pranam. Thank
My
you.
brain is not braining.